This is the big bridge that I always talk about. One of them I always talk about. I love it here. I love all the bridges and I love all the water. It's one of the reasons why I thought about moving here. I actually did move here back in 2007 from Citrus County, Florida. I lived here for like 9 months, bartended on the casino boat, the Emerald Princess 2, down below us here at Gisco Point. And I worked there at nights on the cruises. You know, they leave about 5 o'clock and back about 12, 1 o'clock. And then in the daytime, I worked at Aeropostale, the clothing store at the Glenn County Mall. And anyhow, I love this bridge, and I love all the water, and that's part of one of the reasons why I considered moving here, even before I did. And now I do, I do live here now, obviously. Let's see if you can see this a little better. I'm gonna have damn credit cards and debit cards and cash flying out the window if I hold it out, because I use this phone as my wallet. Dummy. Wow, look at that gray front over there. It's crazy looking. The weather here is, dude, it's changed a lot, and for whatever reason why, it's oh wow, we're gonna go right into this like crazy wall of rain, dude. Or no, we're going over there actually, but the guy next to me is probably like, you damn idiot, but I'm not going in and out my lane, man. I know these roads like the back of my hand, man. I ain't even got to pay attention where I'm at. I know where I'm at. That's the entrance to Jekyll Island, right there. Wow, and here it is. Look at this crazy, look at how gorgeous it is just right there, man. And then we got this crazy thing, I don't know what it is. Crazy wall of mist or rain or something. Or fog, maybe, or smoke even. I don't know what the heck it is. I'm getting a little bit of rain on my windshield, so it's really noisy. But it's gorgeous here. I do love it here. I really, there's a lot of other places in the world I want to visit, but I don't. I'm real good. I'm real happy with South Georgia, North Florida being my central locale, my home base. My fort, my headquarters, whatever. I can visit everywhere else in the world I want. You always got to have a home front, a home base, and I'm real happy with where I live at. It's gorgeous. That's such a strange thing over there. I wonder what it's like to be on the water over there, but it's really weird. You're like surrounded by darkness, but you can look out and see that there's light out there. Which reminds me, that's a lot of times, that's how our life is, We can be so down and feel like we're surrounded by darkness, and look out at other people's lives or our history, our own personal history, where we've had light, had better things in life, had better circumstances and situations to where we were happier or more secure or better off financially or emotionally. And you can look out and you can see the light, and that's out there and it's available. But when you look at your immediate circumstances, you see that it's real dark here. There's depression, and my relationships aren't what I'd like them to be, or my financial circumstances aren't what we want them to be, or your health, all those things. And you feel like you're just surrounded by darkness. But if you look out, look beyond your medium, I don't know why I can't talk today. Look out beyond your immediate circumstances. I'm gonna try to do this, which I'm not very good at. Look out beyond your immediate circumstances and you'll see light. And just like I'm passing through this storm here now in my car, I want to show you this boat over here. And these literally tens of thousands of brand new cars, and they're like all Mercedes and BMWs. I don't know if you'll be able to see them. You're gonna think I'm full of crap now because I just missed it. But if there's the port here in Brunswick. That's where they bring in all these foreign cars on these huge barges or huge boats of some kind. Anyhow, digressing. just like the darkness of the storm, you look out and you see light. There is hope out there. And things can get better. And they will get better, but it requires action. And it requires you to make decisions. You know, I don't know if it's Tony Robbins that said it, Anthony Robbins, or if he quoted someone else. You know, a lot of writers, they quote one another, and you don't know who the originator of the quote was, but it doesn't matter. It's good thoughts, good phrases, good things to recall. That's what's important. And this one here is that when you succeed, you party, and when you fail, you ponder. You know, you ponder, you sit and wonder, how did I get here? Why did I get here? I've went through this past year and this year, a lot of pondering and wondering how I ended up in some circumstances that I did. And that's when great change comes, because when you're partying, and there's nothing wrong with partying, there's nothing wrong with success. That's what we should strive for in every important area of our life. We should strive to succeed. But that's not generally when great change comes. When you fail, that's when you ponder and you really examine yourself and your life and your circumstances and your decisions, and you look at, why did I end up here? And that's when great change comes. So if you failed recently, whether it's a relationship or financially a decision, or someone's taking advantage of you, it doesn't matter if it's someone even robbed you, whether it's robbed you of your happiness or actual money, or a business partner's robbed you, or your home's been robbed, or whatever. Usually we've got a hand in the things that happen to us. But even if we didn't bring it on ourselves, it's time to ponder, and it's time to look at, why did these things happen, and what can I do to change it? Because if you're sitting in the midst of a bunch of dark clouds, that's not where you want to be. And you don't want to let your present circumstances dictate your path. You don't want to let your present circumstances dictate your future. And you know what'll do that is fear. Fear will cripple you. You know, there's an acronym people use, fear is false evidence appearing real. Well, sometimes there really is evidence and think you really are in danger. But most of the time that's not the case. We create circumstances in our own mind that we're fearful of, and we let it cripple us to where we don't take action. If we don't take action, we're going to stay in those dark clouds. We're going to stay in that depression. We're going to stay broke. We're going to stay brokenhearted. You got to look for the light. Even if you don't see it, you got to know it's there and it's available. And it is. Zig Ziglar says, do you think that within the next 3 weeks there's something that you could do that would absolutely destroy your life, your business life, your home life, your professional life, your love life? You know, yeah, I could destroy it probably within the next 3 hours. I'm driving. I could destroy it in the next 3 seconds if I wanted. Well, if that's true, then the same is also true that within the next 3 weeks, there's things that you can do that will dramatically improve your life. You know, the natural laws of the earth, you know, in human life are that if you just sit around and do nothing, bad comes. You don't sit and play video games and get a six-pack. You don't sit and goof off all the time and your bank account grows. Maybe if you're Bam Margera, but even that ran out for him. No offense to Bam, I love him. But it takes action to have the body we want, the love life we want. It takes action to build the business like we want it built. It takes action to build our bank account. And it takes action to get out of the fog of depression and your present day circumstances that you're not satisfied with. It takes action to see the light and to be in the light. So do something. You know, there's the old story about the fox and the rabbit, and they're sitting in this cabin hanging out, and the fox says, man, I'm so smart, I'm so witty. If the hunters came, you know, I could run up and jump in the rafters of the house, and I could do circles and jump off the roof, and they'd never catch me. Or I could run out and go down the river and cross the river back and forth, and the hounds, they would lose my scent, and they would I'd lose them that way. He said, man, I'm so smart. I've got so many things available to me. I could do anything I wanted to escape those hounds and those hunters. And the rabbit says, well, I don't know. All I really know how to do is run like a scared rabbit. He says, that's all I know I would do, I guess, if the hunters came. And at that time, you hear the baying of the hounds, and the hunters are on their way for the fox and for the rabbit. And so the rabbit, he immediately takes off running like a scared rabbit. That's all he knew to do. That's what he knew, was to run. And the fox sits there and he says, what should I do? Should I cross the river and try to lose my scent that way? Or should I climb a tree and jump from limb to limb and lose my scent that way? Or should I run up into the rafters and run back down out the door and so they think I might have went this way or that way? And while he was contemplating all the things he could do, the hounds came and ate him. The moral of the story is, do what you know. There's a lot available to us, but do what you know. It might not be hounds coming to eat you, but there are things in this life that will eat you alive if you let them. And usually it's your own mind. The older we get, the more we get kicked in the teeth of life, by life, we become fearful. I got to give credit where it's due, man. Ty Lopez, hey, I'm in the garage with my Lamborghini, read a book a day. That guy's actually deep, and he is actually very intelligent, and I've been watching some of his videos, and he's helped remind me of some things about myself that I needed to get back in touch with. And one of the quotes, he's quoting someone else too. I don't remember who it is, but he's quoting someone else. Like I said, the author's not important. The quote is what's important. He said, the bonds of habit are so weak they cannot be felt until they become so strong they cannot be broken. And if you can, you can liken that to many things. You can apply that to many things, and one of those is, say, addiction. People that smoke cigarettes. When you first start smoking cigarettes, the bonds or the chains of that addiction, they feel very, very light. You don't know you're addicted until you're addicted, and then they can't be broken. Fear, same way. When we're young, we're all fearless. We think we're going to live forever. Whether it's physical behaviors or social behaviors, we act however we want because we're not afraid yet. And then something happens to us, some kind of a failure, or a result happens that we didn't expect, that's not favorable to us, and we say, I'm not going to do that again. Well, and that's fine. Some things you should avoid. But usually when we get kicked in the teeth by life, we make unrational decisions, or irrational and unreasonable choices we make then out of fear. And we, before you know it, you've created a new way of thinking in your mind in a way to protect you that at first seems so light, the bonds of it seem so light, that now they have you pinned down to life and you cannot break them. But you can break them. It's just not going to be easy. But you can do it, and you need to do it. The bonds of habit are so light until they become so strong, you cannot break them. So be very careful what habits you choose. There's this road in Alaska that says it's frozen. The ground is like tundra or something. Don't quote me scientifically on that, but there's these huge ruts, and these truckers use the road. And it says at the very beginning of this portion of the road, these ruts are frozen, okay? So once you get your wheels in between the ruts, you're not getting out until you reach the end of the road, okay? Which is a long way, so I don't recall the specifics. But the sign says, choose your rut wisely, because you will be in it until the end. And that's how our life really is. Imagine if you're in your car and you reach this point of this road, and there's several ruts. Your two wheels, your front two tires and your rear two tires, you're going to be stuck in that rut because you cannot turn the wheel to get back out. It's a rut. You're stuck in it until you reach the end of that road. And that's how our life is. The end of that road is the end of our life, or the end of a situation to where it requires drastic change, uncomfortable to the point of unhealthy change. I mean, you put yourself in a situation so bad that you're stuck there and it requires massive intervention. You can avoid that. So what I would say to you about that adage or analogy is that choose your behaviors carefully, choose your friends carefully, choose your way of life carefully, choose your habits and your addictions very carefully. And I would say avoid all addictions. When saying cigarettes or drugs or anything that you need to live, otherwise you're uncomfortable. I know all about that. That's a story for another time, but choose your rut wisely, because you will be in it for a long time. Choose your way of living very wisely, because you will be in it. And this is the thing, most of us have choice still, especially in America. America's all I know, really. Unless you're physically or mentally handicapped, you have pretty much anything you want to do, you can do pretty much. So choose great things. Choose a wonderful rut. You know, the word rut sounds bad, but you can choose to have great habits. You know, they say like a behavior becomes a habit becomes a part of your character, you know? It's the quote's better than that, and it's more than that. It's just all I can remember at this moment. Sow a behavior, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character, or whatever. Sow a character, reap a destiny, is something like that. So sow good seeds. Form a good rut for your life. Make it something wonderful. You can do that. And this isn't all just hippie philosophy. This is real. This is how we work. Sorry, I gotta get around this guy real quick. But you can choose a good life, and it's up to you. I had this girl that I'm very fond of, and she would ask me, she would say, Johnathan, are we gonna make it? You know, her and me and our relationship. And I would always tell her, it's up to us. And I still believe that. We don't let circumstances tell us what we're gonna do. We choose. You know, there's this great, I don't remember if it was Winston Churchill, it might have been. And if I'm quoting it wrong, I'm sure somebody will tell me, but it says, never take counsel from your fears. You don't look at the things that you're afraid of, or say if you got a certain situation in life, whether it's business or love or friendship or health or whatever venture it may be, you don't look at all the things that you could see as possible and potential fears or failures guide your decision making. You do not take counsel from your fears. You don't ask advice from your fears. Fears are only to be acknowledged, to be avoided, but you don't let it deter you from your destination. You don't take counsel from your fears. We choose what we want to do, and we choose how we're going to live according to what we want, not what we're afraid of. I'm not saying be foolhardy or hubris. I'm saying when you need counsel, fear is not the one to seek counsel from. That also makes me think of this story, or this article I read about emotions and about logic, and how we have been taking our information in the wrong way and making our decisions based on the wrong things. So when you have an emotional feeling, whether it's fear or happiness or joy or love or hate or anger or sadness, whatever, those are information. Just like when you get pinched or whatever, you feel that, you know, something's hurting. That doesn't mean you just flip out and react. You feel that emotion, and then you use logic to make the decision about what should you do. You don't let emotion make the decision for you. And I'm a #1 poster boy for that crap. I've done that many times in my life, and it's something I'm working on, is making a decision based on emotion. That's not what you do. You get your information from emotion, and then you use logic to choose what you should do based on the readings you got from that information, from the emotion. You don't get emotional and then make your decision. Boom. Emotion is a piece of information. It's a tool. Logic is what you use after you've gotten the readings from the emotion. Then you put logic in place. Then you make your decision. You don't let emotion make your decision. And usually the emotion is fear. You don't let that make your decisions for you. And that's the profundity of that statement is profound. I could go on and on, you know. But thank you for watching this video, and I hope that it helps you. And you know, I remember in church one time, this guy, I think it was a minister friend of mine, he told me, he said, most of the sermons that ministers give that we say, wow, that was an amazing sermon. Usually people give a sermon, one that's really powerful and really moving. They're giving the sermon on something that they're dealing with. And so, you know, this video is probably as much for me as it is for you, is my whole point in saying that. So if you would, you know, like the video, share it, subscribe to my channel or whatever it is you're, whether it's YouTube or Facebook or Snapchat, whatever, add me on those social medias, Instagram. And thank you for watching it, and I hope that it helps you. And you know, I've got this thing that I say, I put it on my laptop, I make little notes to remind myself of things, and I say, I can do everything. One thing I've said for a long time is if you're not physically or mentally handicapped, that you can do everything. Well, there's a lot of people that have physical and mental handicaps that still do incredible things even with those difficulties. And with your average guy or girl, they are handicapped. They're handicapped by fear. I've done it. I've wasted years by being crippled by fear. You know, I think it was Mark Twain, he said, I might be wrong about this too. I really got to brush up on who I'm quoting. But he said, I've experienced some really horrible things in my life, and some of them actually happened. And what that means is you get an idea of fear in your mind about a situation, and you play out the whole thing as if it happened, and you'll actually go through the experiences, the stress and the anxiety of it, as if it actually happened, but it never did. It was just a potential possibility. And you travel through the whole scenario as if it happens, and you experience the physical and mental stress of it. But it never occurred. And that's what he's saying. He's saying that, you know, in your imagination, you've experienced awful things, but they're not real. And most of the things that we're afraid of aren't real. Now, there are people battling very serious difficulties, the death of a loved one, the loss of a loved one, whether it's divorce or sickness or, you know, death, businesses that have failed, and there really are there are real hurts on this earth and in this life, and that's true. And all you can do with those is keep moving forward. Just like the scared rabbit, you run. Now, I don't mean run from the problem, but you do what you know is what I mean. Just like Sylvester Stallone said in Rocky, you know, life will beat you down and it will keep you there if you let it. And nothing's going to hit as hard as life. It doesn't matter how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. You know what you're worth, you go out and you get what you're worth. But you got to be willing to take the hits. You don't blame what you do or don't have on anybody else because of him or her, that's what cowards do, and that ain't you. You're better than that. We can do everything. I believe this. I bet my life on it. Overcome, persevere, endure. Life ain't all sunshine and rainbows, but we can make it. You know, another thing that Ty Lopez said, he said, heaven and hell, all heavens and hells are right here inside you. We create the world in the image that we see for ourselves. Now, you can be deterred from what you wanted before life kicked you in the teeth. You create this beautiful life, you got all your hopes and dreams. Life kicks you in the teeth, you become fearful, and you stop because you're scared to get hurt again. Whether it's love or business or striving for goals and dreams and aspirations. Don't take counsel from your fears. Choose to win. See it in your mind. Do the things that are required to achieve the goal. And you got to have goals. Like Zig Ziglar said, you cannot be a wandering generality. You must be a meaningful specific. You must have a goal. You must know what kind of man or woman that you want to be. And then look at what it takes to get there. You know, I saw that movie, what was it? It was with Tom Cruise. And it was where he kept dying over and over. Like something like Tomorrow. I don't remember. You know what I'm talking about. He's like a video game almost. He's dying. He's a soldier on the battlefield. And every time he dies at that point in the war, he pops back up. And he's got another opportunity to live that day again and to know what he did wrong or right. I watched that movie with my brother. And and so every time he died, he knew the future up until that point. So he knew what to do or not to do again. And when we left that theater, I was so inspired. And I had some of the most amazing thoughts ever. And that was this. I said, wouldn't it be amazing if we could tell the future? Because, you know, I've been through some rough things, and I wanted to be able to avoid those things, just like Tom Cruise could in that movie. And then I said, I can know the future. How? How can I know the future? How can you know the future? You can. Not 100%, but a very, very large percentage. You can know the future. How? From looking at what we've done in the past and where it brought us. If it was bad, avoid those steps you took to get there. You look at the lives of other people that you know in real life, or from books that you've read. And if you're not reading books, you better read some books. You can look at other people's lives and know what it took them to get there. And then you choose where you want your life to go. And then you look at the steps of others and you model that. That's a modality. That's a way of operating. Modus operandi. You look at what it took to get there. And then you take those steps. And by you knowing the steps required to reach your destination, and when you put in the sincere effort to do those things, you will know the future, because you will be controlling the future. This is profound. This is truth. You can know the future by choosing your destination, looking at how to get there, knowing what pitfalls to avoid from your own history or from the history of others. Know what works. If you don't know, start reading, researching it. Choose a destination and then do everything in your power to reach it the right way based on either your own history, your own experiences, or the lives of others. You can do everything. You can know the future. You can have the life you want. And a buddy of mine, Jason, my drummer, Jason Prather, he always told me a red bird was a good omen. Look at this. I don't necessarily, I don't really believe in omens. But it's fun. But I don't believe in luck either. I believe in cause and effect. You know, I do believe in the idea of luck. Some people definitely are lucky. But you don't count on luck to get where you want to go, and you don't count on fear to keep you from things that have hurt you in the past. You look at a path, you learn the pitfalls, you learn the steps you need to get to where you need to go, and then you do it. And you can do everything. And I do believe in God. And He's saved me many times. And He's been there for me. If you don't believe in God, just disregard that. No one can make you believe in God. No one can convince you otherwise. There's times when I didn't believe the way that I do now. But if you do believe in God, He's a very important ingredient. And He does love you, and with Him we can do all things. But there's plenty of atheists out there who use these steps that I'm discussing. They got everything they want in life according to their beliefs. So whether you're an atheist or an agnostic or a Gnostic or a nihilist or, Satan worshiper, you can have the life that you want. And most of us humans, we all want a few things. We're all pretty much the same all around the world, everyone I've ever met. We want financial security, we want love, we want friendships, and we want good health. And we want to know that we're doing the best things we can with our life according to our standards and values. So take action. Massive change requires massive action, but you can do it. You can destroy your life within the next 3 weeks. You can sit and just go through with a river of life and not know what bank you're going to end up in the next 3 weeks. Or you can choose to control your life and control your destiny. And you can